part of the Thursday night show for your life motivational movement. And so here's what I want to talk to you about tonight. You know, it's almost approaching that time of the year where many people are going to be sitting down and just sort of thinking about what it is that they want to accomplish. Like, what are their new goals? What are their new aspirations? And so some people are going to pull out a piece of paper and they're going to come up with these things. Some of them are going to refer to them as resolutions. Some people are going to refer to them as goals. Some people are going to talk about perhaps it's their vision. Whatever you choose to call it, I know that this is, and we're approaching that time where people are going to begin to start setting out some new goals, some new aspirations. Some people are going to say, you know what, this is going to be the year that I'm finally going to lose this weight. I've been battling with weight and I'm finally going to lose this weight this year. Some people are going to say, you know what, this is going to be the year that I'm going to get out of debt. You know, I've been struggling with these credit card bills. I've been struggling with these student loans and so forth. I am going to get out of debt. Some of you are going to be saying, you know, this is going to be the year that I'm going to start my own business. I've been thinking about starting my own business, but this is going to be the year that I'm going to start my own business. Some of you are already in business. And you're going to say to yourself, you know, this is going to be the year that I hit the 6-figure mark. This is going to be the year that I hit the 7-figure mark. And you're going to set some high expectations, some high goals. Some of you are going to say, you know what, this is the year I'm going to go back and I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to get a different diploma. I'm going to get my master's. I'm going to get my doctorate. Some of you are going to say, you know, this is the year that hopefully I'm going to find that special someone. I'm going to get married. Listen, there's going to be a lot of new goals that are set, a lot of new resolutions that are set. But let me be the very first one to tell you that one of the big mistakes that people make as they get ready to set out these new goals, these new dreams, and these new aspirations that they have for themselves, one of the first things that they fail to do is to literally make the decision and figure out up front why they want to do those things. And so if they want to lose the weight, why do you want to lose the weight? If they want to start the business, why do you want to start the business? If you want to make the career shift, why do you want to make the career shift? If you want to write the book, why do you want to do it? And I'm telling you, the reason why most people won't even be 30 days into the new year and literally start compromising and passing up and breaking their New Year resolutions or their goals and their aspirations and the things that they're setting out for themselves is because they didn't establish up front when they were setting these goals, when they were setting these resolutions, exactly why they wanted to do it. And so I want to save you some time. I want to save you some grief. And not only that, but I want to increase the probability of you accomplishing these goals and these dreams and these things that you're setting out for yourself by making sure that you understand the importance of figuring out exactly why you want to do these things and being crystal clear on why you want to make it happen. Why? Because here's what I know. Once you set out to accomplish your goals and your dreams, guess what? Life is going to happen. You know what? Your old habits, your old routines are going to want to take over. Not only that, but trust and believe that I can assure you of this. If you've got a big lofty goal, a big lofty dream, something that you're pursuing, guess what? Something is going to happen to derail you. Something is going to happen to have you start second guessing yourself, to wonder, you know what, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to start the business? Do I really want to get to this particular income level? Do I really want to lose the weight? Do I really want to get out of debt? Because guess what? It's going to turn out, and many times, to be just a tad bit harder than what you thought it was going to be. And in those moments, that's typically the time that most people decide to throw in the towel. And what I'm saying to you is that needs to be the time that you become laser focused and locked in as to why you want to do it. Why do you want to make this thing happen? And once you become crystal clear on why you want to make the thing happen, I'm telling you, that is what's going to give you the courage. That's what's going to give you the strength. That's what's going to give you the fortitude to keep pushing forward, to not throw into towel, to finally accomplish and realize your goals and your dreams. I tell you, I remember very early on, and I'm talking about over 14 years ago, I was part of a direct sales company. And I remember being part of this direct sales company and having all of these amazing dreams and aspirations about how it's going to hit the top position in the company, and how it's going to become a multi-millionaire in the company, and how it's going to do some extraordinary things in the company. And I tell you one thing, I was doing pretty well in the company, okay? So I was getting customers and clients. I was building my team and so forth. But there's another gentleman who was working the business with me at the same time. And I'll never forget this. We had just finished up what was called a PBM, which was like a private business meeting. And he and I went out in the parking lot and we were sitting in the car. And we pulled out this CD. I'll never forget this. A CD. And on the CD was a gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is an extraordinary thought leader, motivational speaker, but I would say thought leader. Jim Rohn, unfortunately, has passed away, but Jim Rohn is responsible for influencing some of the greats in the personal development industry. Jim Rohn was a mentor to Darren Hardy, who happens to be the editor-in-chief of Success Magazine. Jim Rohn was a mentor to Tony Robbins, one of the biggest in the personal development industry. Jim Rohn was a mentor to Les Brown, one of the top 5 speakers in the world. It was Jim Rohn that says that we must all suffer from one of 2 pains in life. He said either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. He said that the difference is discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. It was Jim Rohn that said that success is a few simple disciplines exercised every single day. It was Jim Rohn who said, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain and not sliding down an old slippery slope. It was Jim Rohn who said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He said, if you work hard on your job, then you'll make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, then you'll make a fortune. And so I remember we were listening to this CD called The Art of Exceptional Living by Jim Rohn. If you've never listened to that CD, that audio program, get a copy. I'm telling you, it would change your life. And we were sitting in the car and we were listening to this. And I remember we had went for about an hour where we weren't saying anything to one another, but we were just listening to the principles and the things that Jim Rohn was sharing. And then out of nowhere, my friend looked over and he said, Andy, he said, man, he said, you know what? He said, one day we're going to be one of the top producers in this company. He said, man, one day, he said, people are going to read about us in the magazine for the direct sales industry. He said, one day, man, people are going to be mentioning our name when it comes to direct sales. And I remember looking over at him and I said to myself, yeah, man, you're right. But let me just tell you, when we were sitting in that car and he made that statement, there was a clear distinction between the both of us at that moment. You see, when he made that statement at that particular time, when he made that statement, he had a wife and children to support. At the time when he made that statement, he had one of his good friends, his best friend, as a matter of fact, that was locked up in prison. At the time where he made that statement, he didn't have a college education. He didn't have a cushy corporate job that he could go back to. At the time that he made that statement, he literally felt as if this opportunity was the only thing that was possible for him to be able to provide for his family and do the things that he needed to do, considering his current circumstances. Considering that if he were to go the same route of his friend, he could end up in jail. Considering that if he didn't, he would probably have to resort to just getting a minimum wage paid job because he didn't have a college degree. Now, mind you, I'm sitting in the same vehicle and I'm telling him, yeah, man, we're going to do this. And at that time, I'm working as a CPA for one of the largest professional service firms in the world. I have a very nice paycheck that's hitting my bank account every 2 weeks. At the time, the only person that I was responsible for providing for was myself. At the time, the only reason why I was part of the company because I was, enthralled with the idea of being an entrepreneur and being part of this very exciting company. But it wasn't something that I had to do. And I had no clear conviction as to why I was doing the business. And sure enough, what do you guess? You know what? I had the comfort of a job. I started getting involved with real estate. I had other things going on. And so eventually I stopped working that particular business. But my friend, he had no other options. And even though he had to go through a course of years of paying his dues, years of not making very much money, years of trying to figure things out, I'll never forget this, that I hadn't spoken to him for probably about 4 years. and I was at a particular event, and I was standing at the front of the room, and I was speaking. And somebody came up to me and they told me, hey, Andy, I want to talk to you, man. He says, listen, I saw you speaking at the front of the room. I see how you're able to connect with people. You have this ability to connect with people, to inspire people. Hey, man, I'm a part of a direct sales company. I would love for you to be a part of my team. Hey, man, I want to give you this magazine. I just want you to take this magazine home, take a look at it, and then eventually I'd love for us to get back on the phone. And so I remember coming home and throwing the magazine to the side. And I didn't flip in the magazine literally for a couple weeks. And then one day I decided to pick up the magazine. I started flipping through the pages. And as I flipped through the pages, lo and behold, I got to the center of the magazine and there was a full page spread on guess who? My friend that I was sitting in that car with. My friend who at that time when he made that statement was absolutely broke. But the main difference is when he made that decision and he said, Andy, one day we're going to be one of the top producers in the company. And I'm reading this article that's talking about how he was one of the top producers in the company. And he said, one day they're going to read about us in magazine. And I remember chuckling and saying, oh my goodness, I'm reading a magazine about this guy. And I remember when he said that they're going to be reading about us in the magazine. And I'm telling you, when I put that thing down, what I realized that there was a major distinction between the two of us when it came to that company at that moment. And the major distinction was when we set out and we were having the conversation about what it is that we wanted to do, he was very, very clear as to why he wanted to do it. And me, it was just something that I was doing. And so I want to save you the hassle. I want to save you the time so that you don't start something and not follow through, so that you don't start something and not finish. What I'm saying to you is I want you to establish up front, why do you want to make these things happen? These amazing things that you're going to be super excited about making happen in this upcoming year. I want you to establish up front, why do you want to make these things happen? Why is it that you're committing to starting this business? Why is it that you're committing to hitting that income level? Why is it that you're committing to losing the weight? Why is it that you're committing to actually getting out of debt? Why is it that you're committing to having healthy relationships in your life? You need to establish upfront. Nietzsche said that the man or the woman who can establish the why for living can endure almost any how. And so when you're clear on why you're doing something, then what happens is when the going gets tough, you can keep going. When you find yourself going through hell, you'll have the ability to keep pushing forward, as Winston Churchill would say. When you find yourself in the midst of a setback, you'll position yourself to continue to push forward and start manifesting your comeback, as Dr. Willie Jolly would say. When you find yourself in the middle of your breakdown, you'll find a way to keep pushing forward so that you can have a breakthrough, as John C. Maxwell would say. You will find a way to keep pushing forward. You will find a way to push yourself forward, but you've got to have a compelling reason. You got to have something that's going to make it worth it for you. I tell you, I'll never forget this time. Another one of my good friends, my buddy Eric Rhett, who played in the NFL for about 8 years, he said, Andy, man, he said, Andy, one time I was playing a football game, and he says, man, we were in the fourth quarter of the football game. And for those of you who follow sports, and for some of you who don't follow sports, I want to just share something that happens oftentimes. During the course of a football game, in the fourth quarter, it is not uncommon, if you ever watch a football game, and even if you're not a big football fan, it's not uncommon that when the fourth quarter begins, that as you look on the field, you'll see many of the athletes that will show and hold up 4 fingers in the air. And so typically, that's an indication that we are entering the fourth quarter. And so this means that it is the final quarter of the game. This is the final quarter. And this final quarter oftentimes is going to decide whether or not you leave with a W for a win or L for a loss. And my buddy said, Andy, man, he said, I'll never forget this. He said, my mom was at one of my football games, and he said it was during my freshman year. And he said, man, he said, I remember during the football game, it was the fourth quarter, and I held up my 4 fingers, and I was looking out into the actual crowd. And he says, I was trying to find my mom. And he said, I spotted my mom and I showed her the 4 fingers. And he said, man, here's what I know. He says, I know that the majority of people who were there at the football game who saw me have my 4 fingers up, they thought that like the rest of my teammates, that when I was holding up my four fingers, that what I was trying to say to my mom is that we're in the fourth quarter. And he said, Andy, he said, I was telling my mom something entirely different. My mom knew exactly what I was telling her. He said, Andy, because here's what I need you to understand, man. He says, I came from a very difficult type of set of circumstances, man. We didn't have very much. And some of you may know, I've shared the story before. My buddy Eric, and him and his brother and his mom and everybody, they grew up in a very small unit. It was probably about 500 to 600 square feet. And my buddy Eric, for 18 years, had to watch his mom sleep on the same green couch. And Eric said, man, Andy, when I held up my fingers for four, the rest of my teammates were saying it's the fourth quarter, but I was telling my mom, hang in there, mom, because 4 more years, give me 4 more years of playing this game. And I'm telling you, I'm going to give everything that I have. I'm going to put it all on the line. I'm going to play this game so hard with so much commitment that I intend on getting a NFL contract, that I intend on becoming pro. And if you can wait just 4 more years, I promise you that I'm going to get you off that couch. I promise you that I'm going to buy you a house. And sure enough, Eric was holding up those 4 more years for his mom that freshman year. And sure enough, his work ethic, his commitment. Back in 1994, Eric Rett would be drafted in the second round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 4 years after giving his mom that signal, and Eric would buy his mom a beautiful home, but most importantly, he would get his mom off of that couch that she had been sleeping on for 18 years. And so what I love about when I think about Eric Rett's story, and when I think about these little tidbits that he drops when he tells me his journey in making it to the NFL, and I'll never forget one time we were sitting in the car and he told me the story about the 4, when he was holding the 4 up for his mom. And he said that the rest of the people thought that he was talking about fourth quarter. He said, Andy, I wasn't talking about the fourth quarter. I was saying to my mom, 4 more years. Hang in there, 4 more years. I'm going to give everything that I can here at the University of Florida. I'm going to play this game like nobody's business. I'm going to run this ball so hard. I'm going to stay committed and dedicated that I will make it to the NFL, and I will be able to change my life and in turn change your life, Mom. Just give me 4 more years. That is somebody who had a serious why. That is somebody who understood why he was doing it. So that means during the times when he was playing football and he got hurt, during those times when he was playing football and he was frustrated, during those times he was playing football and he was second guessing himself, he had a reason to keep pushing forward. And what I'm saying to you is, as you get ready to set these goals, as you get ready to raise the bar, as you get ready to tell yourself the things that you want to do, I'm asking you right now, why do you want to do it? Why? Why do you want to get out of debt? Why do you want to start the business? Why do you want to take your income level to that amount? Why do you want to lose the weight once and once for all? Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to grow a family? Why do you want to invent whatever it is that you want to invent? Why do you want to write a book? If you know your why and you're crystal clear on it, you automatically significantly increase the probability of you realizing your goals and your dreams. But I'm telling you one thing, don't make the mistake that most people will make. They're going to set out some goals and some dreams, and they're going to set out all these things, and they're going to write down all the desires of their heart, but they're never going to really stop and go line by line and think about why they want to do it. And because they fail to acknowledge, and because they fail to try to consider, because they fail to solidify, because they fail to focus as to why they want to do it, the moment they hit an obstacle, and the obstacle will come, the moment things become difficult, and oftentimes they do become difficult, the moment that they find themselves second guessing and questioning whether or not it's possible for them, guess what happens? They throw in the towel. And then they wait a whole nother year, and then they start setting all the same goals and making all the same resolutions all over and all over again. And what I'm saying is that you will find that you begin to raise the bar, that your vision begins to expand. What you actually are willing to do begins to expand when you're very clear as to why you want to do it. You know, I am so proud of my wife. For some of you know my wife, some of you don't. My wife, her name is Coach Kaz. The name of her company is InspireMany.com. And we talk about why. You know, I've watched my wife with various coaching programs. I've seen her mentor so many women and help them to transform their lives, to help women to be able to find the love that they truly desire. My wife is a love coach, a relationship coach. She helps successful single women to be able to find the love of their life, to be able to do the personal work so that they can begin to have happy, healthy relationships in their life. She is also a professional matchmaker. She's part of the Matchmaker Institute. And so one of the products that my wife recently launched were these amazing, amazing greeting cards. And her whole premise of creating these greeting cards is that, you know, oftentimes when people are dating somebody, you know, they go to a actual store and they decide to go get a card to give to somebody that they're dating. And oftentimes those cards are like too mushy, right? They're saying, I love you, and they're just saying too much. And so she's like, how do you find a card that just says the right thing? And so my wife decided to start her own greeting cards. And if you want to check out the website, it's called It's All About Love. It's allaboutlovecards.com. Once again, it's allaboutlovecards.com. But here's what I love about what my wife did. You know, I've seen her create products and programs in the past, but this particular time when she decided to create this particular product, she created it with the intention of pre-funding our daughter's education. And so my wife said, you know what, I'm going to create something that is going to create a revenue stream, something that I believe the marketplace has a need for, but it's going to create a revenue stream that's going to allow us to be able to prepay for our daughter's college education and her education even before college. And so the beautiful thing is I sort of sat back and I watched my wife. She created these cards. I saw her go ahead and, you know, get her website up and going and the cards. And I see a couple sales taking place. And then I saw what happened because of the fact that my wife had a strong conviction in something beyond just selling the cards and beyond just the revenue, but because it was tied to my daughter's education. And I watched my wife go ahead and make a phone call, and I watched her close a deal to literally sell to one single organization. She sold over 600 units of her actual cards. And we're talking about a profit of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, more than what many people make in literally in 3 months worth of working. And I watched her go ahead and close this deal. And what was so beautiful about it was that the fact that I understood when I was listening into her conversation and I was listening to her conviction level and I was listening to her close this sale for thousands of dollars for her card. What I was the reason why I was smiling is because as I was listening to the conversation, I knew that the reason why her conviction level was at the place that it was at was because of the fact that she had a significant why. It's because of the fact that she wanted to raise money to be able to start prepaying for her daughter's education. And sure enough, she closed that deal, and my wife took that check and she deposited into a bank account for our daughter. And I bring that up to you because I want you to understand this, that when you attach what you're looking to make happen with something meaningful to you, you begin to show up a little differently. Your conviction level begins to shift and to change. Your commitment level becomes elevated. Your level of dedication becomes elevated, and you begin to produce a different level of results. And so what I'm saying to you is this, is that as you get ready, and I'm going to challenge you to dream big and to start casting your vision and start thinking about what it is that you want to manifest, the things that you want to make happen in your life. And as you begin to make these things happen, I want you to start thinking about these things that you're setting out, these goals, these resolutions, these dreams, these whatever you want to call them. I want you line by line to ask yourself on each one, why do you want to make this thing happen? And I want to save you time. If you can't come with a worthy reason as to why, and I'm telling you right now, If it has to do with finances, your why better be more than just making a bunch of money. Listen, if money alone was a great motivator, everybody would be wealthy. Money alone is not a good enough motivator. There needs to be a strong enough conviction. All right, so you get the money. Why do you want the money? Money is not necessarily going to bring you happiness. There needs to be a greater cause. And so if you want to lose the weight, listen, if you don't have a real reason, a conviction level to lose the weight, then chances are you're just going to go ahead and rubber band all over. You're going to lose a little weight and gain it right back, right? If you don't have a real reason to get out of debt, then chances are, guess what? You're going to dibble and dabble and start making a couple payments. Then you're going to start stacking the debt right back away. If you don't have a real reason to say, hey, wait a second, I want to break this cycle of unhealthy relationships, start having a good relationship, guess what? You're probably going to just repeat the cycle. You need to figure out what that why is. So my challenge for you is, yes, dream big. Come up with some big goals, some big dreams as we get ready to roll into this new year. But my challenge for you is on every single thing that you set out to do, I want you to become crystal clear as to why you want to do it. And if you can have a strong enough reason why, if you can have something significant that's going to make it worth it for you, I can assure you of this, that you're going to significantly increase the likelihood of you making things happen. And let me just tell you, I'm so super excited. I can't wait to hear your success stories. I can't wait to hear about the things that you're making happen. But let me remind you, be very clear as to why you want to make those things happen. And listen, of course, this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't show up, if you don't do the work, if you don't commit to the things that you want to make happen in your life, then guess what? Nobody else will. And let me just tell you, I am so grateful. I'm so thankful that all of you decided to tune in and be part of the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational movement and live stream. If you and I are not yet connected, I want to tell you how we can connect very quickly. You can go to andyhenriquez.com. You spell my last name Henriquez. Go to andyhenriquez.com. When you get there, you'll see a place where there's a free gift, a free teleseminar you can get access to. Put in your name and your email address, and that's going to allow me to stay connected with you and continue to be able to provide you with content information, let you know about things that have going on that I believe is going to be able to help you to continue to show up and perhaps even help you in your business and accomplishing your goals and your dreams. Also, I want to remind you, if you haven't already done so, make sure you get a copy of my book. It's called Show Up for Your Life. You can get a copy at Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, or you can go to ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. Once again, that is ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. Regardless of where you choose to go to get a copy of my book, just get a copy. I can assure you that the book is literally going to change your life. In the book, I share some powerful principles that are designed to take you from just living an ordinary life to beginning to living a life of purpose, to get you very clear on what it is that you are getting up every day to do and start really creating the thing that you want in your life. The book was inspired by a very powerful and touching story about my mom, who was an immigrant to this country, who came here from the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And many of the principles in the book are the principles that I had to apply in my personal life, making the transition from working in corporate America and having to really reconfigure my life and live a life of purpose and meaning and create an entirely different life for myself. And so I know there's a lot of people who are where I was at one point, who are going through the motions, who maybe perhaps were pursuing a particular trail in their life, only to get there and say, you know what, there's got to be more than this. And so this book is going to equip you to get you from where you are right now to exactly where it is that you want to do, where you want to be. So I want you to get a copy of the book. You're going to go to ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com, ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. Also got some pretty exciting things that are going to be coming down the pipeline, so keep posted. I'm going to be launching my Master Storyteller Academy, the Master Storyteller Academy, which is designed to really help people who are entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, authors, to be able to tap into the power of their story so that they can attract high-paying customers and clients, so that they can attract opportunities to be able to speak, so that they can attract and be able to have more influence for the things that they're looking to do in their business and in their personal lives. So with that being said, what I am going to do, because I know some of you are listening right now via the live stream, and some of you are also on the conference call line. I'm going to ask Lewis to open up the conference call line. I'm going to put my phone on speaker